Okay, so we are going to start with introductions. So I am going to ask all of our panelists to please introduce yourself, share your name, what your major is, and where you have already either transferred or will be transferring soon. And we'll start here.
Yes, my name is Thomas Sutton. I transferred to University of Texas. I'll be graduating in December, and I am a sport management major.
You can do rounds of applause for all these panelists.
Hi, everyone. My name is Darlene Ledesma. I graduated 2 months ago at UT Austin with a bachelor in business analytics and a minor in management information systems.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Medeiros, and I am a social work major at UT Austin, and I will graduate in the spring.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlotte. I recently just graduated from ACC in the Associate Architecture Department. I'm going to be transferring to the U of H in the fall for a Bachelor of Architecture program.
Hi, everyone. My name is I am majoring and transferring at Stephen F. Austin University in Massachusetts, and I majored in political science and free law.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. My name is Jose. I transferred to UT Austin and I'm studying international relations, and I'm a junior currently.
And my name is Ali Reyes, and I'm also in international relations major with him, same class, junior. And at UT, yeah, thank you.
I did send out an email to a lot of students. It just so happens we got so many UT people here. So Longhorns are representing. And it might also be because they are here in Austin. So the first question I have, and anybody can start, is what made you select the university and the major that you are either currently pursuing or about to pursue?
Okay. I chose UT mainly because they have the why does the name always no, they have the program where if you're under a certain income level, they will pay for your education. The Texas Tomorrow Fund. UT allows for transfer students, and that was mainly my main reason for choosing UT, because I was like, well, Texas State is a little bit closer, maybe a smaller campus. St. Edward's was right down the street for me. I would love it, but UT provided the funding. And so for that reason, I chose UT just because they would accept transfer students with that program. And so for me, I get to have my education paid for.
So I'm in a little bit of a boat that can only go a certain way in my major of architecture. If anybody's familiar with architecture, there are 3 schools in Texas that have a professional bachelor program. U of H is one, UT is one, and Rice University is the other. So I focused my applications that would best serve me. I'm a little bit older and I really wanted to get this show on the road. So I applied to UT, U of H, and I also applied to UTSA just because I'm from San Antonio, Countdown City. Love it. And UT didn't accept me, but U of H did. And they're taking my transfer credits, which is excellent. So I'm chopping a year off my 5-year program to hopefully get that degree in 4. You want to jump? Okay. Do you want to?
Well, my decision was mostly I chose the Stephen F. Austin University because I went around a lot of different colleges, most to visit. At first, I went to University of North Texas, and I decided that it was gonna be maybe one of the university I was gonna transfer to. And after that, I went to visit Stephen F. Austin University. I feel way comfortable over there. That was a place I felt like it was gonna be more comfortable. I was gonna be comfortable and be welcomed and enjoy the area and people and be friendly. And that's mostly the main point for me. And for pre-law and environmental science and political science. That's something I've been enjoying since I was way younger age, and it's been something in my family. We've been kind of facing law stuff, and always enjoy law.
Yeah, so for me, I would say that the major point was really financial wise. UT is a Texas school, so it's a public school, so it was definitely more affordable than St. Edward's, for example. Out of high school, I applied to roughly 20 different universities, and all of them were very, very expensive. And UT was really the only one that I didn't apply to out of high school, but it was the most affordable one. So right as soon as I entered ACC, I knew that UT was going to be my main goal, which I attained it. So I did transfer. But it was definitely a financial aspect. Other than that, I would say that the major was something else, international relations. It was a very good program. It's a very good program at UT. Also, the connections that you get with alumni at UT is very good, especially if you want to get into politics or international development. So that was something else that truly got me into it.
Everything he said, it's completely well said. But I really want to emphasize again on the financial aid that they offer for not only transfer students, but also, you know, Latinos or any minority group, because they do work with you. And on top of that, UT's transfer student program, they have a specific separate program for transfer students from ACC or any community college, where they will sit down with you, they'll work with you. Same thing with first generation college students. So it helps you like know where your resources are and how to like navigate the financial aid, because it's really easy to miss out on your financial aid at UT. Because for me, for example, my nationality was always called into question, whether I was a US citizen or Peruvian or Argentinian. So there are a lot of hurdles that you might come across, and UT, as I know it, they had the best stuff to overcome that. So I think UT is just such a great school in that aspect. Well said, though.
I promise you, this is not an advertisement for UT. This just happens to be where some of our panelists went. And I know we have two more that are going to talk about why they chose UT.
Yeah, I also chose UT just because I'm here from Austin. I have a family. It was hard to kind of travel somewhere else for school, and being able to go to, for me, being in the sport management program, being able to go to one of like the best, like prestigious, like college sports programs in the country, be associated with them was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm very happy with my decision.
I chose UT because it's close to home. I'm born and raised here in Austin, Texas. So for me, it was more easy to, stay at home with my parents, save up money. But also UT is a pretty great known school, mainly in the Macomb School of Business. It's being one of the top business schools across the country. I just envisioned myself being there. So, that was my main goal, to transfer into the Macombs. I did the best I could just to be there. Yeah.
So as successful transfer students, and you are now speaking to an audience of current or just starting out ACC students, what are some of the resources that you utilized at ACC that you feel helped you on your path to transferring? And I know some of y'all came to transfer bootcamp last year, so, maybe we want to talk.
I was going to plug that immediately.
Yay.
You're in the seat right now, getting it started. And that's great. The team on this transfer team and the career services team, they're really approachable, super knowledgeable. It's easy to have conversations with these guys. So if you have any questions at all, go to them, because they're literally here to serve for that purpose. And they love it. They love talking about it too. So it's great fun. And they do a lot of programs throughout the year. I think you've touched about the walk-in Wednesdays, and just about everything is to serve you. So take advantage of that for sure.
Charlotte sat right there, right in that
right
seat.
there. I sat right there in the
Oh.
tie-dye, but close.
Okay. I feel like
Same but mirrored. Yeah. Thank you though.
For me, not only, oh yeah, give her a round of applause.
We may need to hold applause to the end just for sake of time. We'll stop. We know they're amazing.
I would say, yes, of course, take advantage of the transfer services team. Not only did I use them to help me with my essay, especially my application, the or the Apply Texas. I came to them. Victor helped me with my essays, and I appreciate all the help because I got in. And then I also use student support services. I went to their advisors and they helped me with like childcare, with making sure that I had the classes that I needed on top of my regular advisor as well. So student support services. And then I also took advantage of the PTK organization, because not only can you get involved and do some volunteer work and, you know, get all the build relationships and stuff, but you also can build your resume, which also again looks good for the application process. So definitely support student support services, the PTK organization, and then of course transfer services. These guys are a great team, and they're always coming up with some opportunities and stuff, and they have some really cool merch. So I'm just saying.
And I'm gonna double on that. On the fact that you're already here at the transfer bootcamp is already an amazing step forward toward wherever you're gonna transfer to. But as far as ACC resources go, don't forget about your professors. They're here because they care. And if you talk with them and take that extra 15, 30 minutes or even an hour, they will sit down and talk with you. They will write you amazing letters. And it's important to know that, you know, they're here because they care and they want to see you succeed. So you should do that. And you're gonna need, especially nowadays with how competitive UT is, those rec letters. So I really recommend that.
Hi. Yes. For me, I would say the same thing as Alice said. Professors are very, very helpful. Now, I do want to point out something. If you noticed, I wear a badge because I actually work here at ACC. And this T-shirt that I have, it says Ascender. This was a program that currently exists, and it's a first-year college program for students, mainly students who, you know, might have struggled or might be very difficult into the transition of college. And I point this out because I think joining programs is very helpful, especially if you want to go to a competitive university, just because it gives you so much to add to your resume. Like Alan mentioned, recommendation letters are so important. One of the things about this program that I joined, and after a year completing it, I transferred, was the fact that they paired me with a mentor. That mentor actually wrote a letter of recommendation for UT for me, and the other one was actually one of my professors. So I do want to say that any of the programs that are here, many of them which can give you many skills, would be good, especially if you want to go to a competitive university. Other than that, the writing center is probably going to be your best friend the entire semester, probably since you start planning. Just because, especially if you're gonna write your admissions application and your statement of purpose letter, I believe it is, they would be basically the best help that you can get. To get any idea of how the length it is and it's so complicated, you definitely need someone who has already been through it and that can actually help you write it. So yeah.
I just like to piggyback off the professor thing a little bit. For those of you that are interested in transferring to UT, a lot of the ACC professors also work at UT. I had several when I went to school here that also taught at UT. One of my professors said the class was literally the exact same class at both places. And so those are great resources for just kind of reaching out to people if that is the school you're interested in transferring to. And even if that's not, there's probably professors that worked at other universities or went to other universities, and those letter of recommendations from them can go a long way, I would say.
Well, on my side, I'll say kind of like you both did say about the letter of recommendation and the professors, and for me, it was something kind of like one of my professors was kind of like pushing me and telling me to keep going, and I have to ask him every often and try to catch with him. And yes, the transferring services are very helpful because I didn't have to talk to them, but every time I was seeing Mr. Remy, he was always encouraging me, asking me about how's going with SFA. So it was very supportive for me. It was still helping me to keep going with my purpose to transfer to SFA, and it went through. So it's very helpful. No matter how hard it is, it's still helpful to just ask and talk to the people, and it's still gonna help you guys.
What I recall when I transferred 2 years ago here at ACCTV was I definitely utilized the transfer resources here at ACC a lot. Like I was always spot in every session that they always had, just so I could get different insights of different speakers they would bring. Because back then they didn't have these transfer bootcamps. If they did, I would have been here all the time, but they did not. I've also utilized PDK, which is Phi Theta Kappa. If you join and if you have the required GPA to join, they have like this Slack channel, and in this Slack channel, they have like a specific transfer chat. And I think that's a really good resource, just so it's like a support system where everyone that's interested into transferring, I mean, everyone just asks questions in that chat. Yeah, I mean, that really helped me back then a lot.
So Darlene, we didn't have transfer boot camp when you were preparing, but do you remember that you were on our very first transfer boot camp student panel? Yeah. So Darlene has been sharing her wisdom with students for many years. So thank you. So what was the transfer application process like for you all? Were there any challenges or struggles that you faced during that time? And is there anything that you think our audience can learn from?
I'll jump on because I did 3 applications to transfer, and that was overwhelming in itself because you've got to pull transcripts from every school you've ever been to. And so for me, that was 3 schools for 3 schools, and it was a lot to keep track of. So I would suggest you definitely utilize the early days for application because those are going to be the high priority applicants. Those are going to be the applications that they look at first. I did not apply early to UT, and I think that might have been my demise. So I have told myself I'm going to tell everybody to apply early because if you know where you want to go, these schools have these dates posted already, and you can have that on your calendar. Start knocking off the lengthy application process and utilize the team to help you with that. What was the question again? I feel like I'm diverting.
You're sharing great information.
How
What
hard it
were there
was?
challenges in the application
Mhm.
process?
Okay, so the one thing that I found myself shortage on was service, community service, engaging with the community. I'm an older person. I've been working, I've been working for 16 years. I'm so unattached from what's going on, but I think that is also something that you can do to help yourself. Even if it's just getting involved in clubs or organizations on campus or like PTK, they have positions that you can hold. All of these things are going to put you a step above another applicant. So anything that you can do to engage, to put it on that holistic resume is going to really help you a lot. And the sky's the limit on that. The holistic resume is an open-ended resume. You can have that thing be pages long. So the more you have to show, the better for you.
I will add to that some of the issues that I had, I think, was just my timing. I think making sure that you have your correct timing down. Don't wait till the last minute to submit all of the documents that you need, all of your essays. I think you guys only have to have 1 essay right now, at least for UT.
For UT, just
Yeah.
1 essay.
But just time yourself. Make sure that you have your timing down. Make sure that you're, like I said, PTK is a great organization because not only are you building those relationships and those friendships and, getting your service hours and stuff, but you're also, again, you're building your application. So that's where you can put like your extracurriculars, your community involvement, stuff like that. Also just getting your letters of recommendation, making sure that all of that's submitted. I will be the first to admit that I was one of those people who submitted my application at 11:59. Not gonna lie, I think the due date was like March 1st, and I did it literally the last minute at 11:59. I made sure it was submitted because then they also give you a week's grace of turning in your letters of recommendation and stuff like that. So I would say time yourself out, make sure that you're starting your essay, making sure that you already have kind of a story of where you want to go. I wouldn't go on a big old long tangent because there are word count things that if they start reading it, they'll start ignoring it and stuff. So get straight to the point, unlike me who rambles. But yeah, straight to the point. Make sure you're meeting with your advisors. Make sure, also, make sure that your classes transfer because all the classes that you're going to be taking right now, make sure that they're going to transfer to the school. I know that when I was first starting, I was making sure that all the classes that I took fell under the categories of either Texas State or UT. But make sure you make your decision and submit those applications. That way you know that the classes you're going to take are going to transfer because you say an English course would be sufficient over here at this school, it's not going to be sufficient at another school. So just make sure that your classes that you're taking are going to transfer over so that you're not wasting your time.
Hello. I'm going to emphasize again on make sure your courses actually transfer, and specifically make sure you don't have a core class in like a summer or like in the semester you're transferring into, because it's not going to count toward your transcript. And I actually got denied into UT the first go because I had a core class, I think it was like macroeconomics, and I was taking it, but because it wasn't completed, it didn't fulfill like the core requirements to actually transfer in, even though I had everything done, essays, everything. And on that note, one essay is required, but you are allowed to do an additional essay. And I do recommend that if you're going to do the submission of the application the last minute, at least just open that doc and start your 2 essays because it is so competitive now. If you're doing 1 essay, that's like telling them you're doing a minimum and you're okay with that. And that can be really dangerous because I know a lot of valedictorians and a lot of people who want to get into comp sci or McCombs or the Canfield Business Program or even the COLA school. It is getting more and more difficult. And I think that's something that needs to be communicated. And on top of that, how many of you guys are been to an international school or out of country school? Okay, make sure you get a physical transcript. If you don't get a physical transcript, they're not going to take it. And you're going to have to run circles like I have. You're going to have to go to the admissions office and then you're going to have to go to the international admissions office. And you're going to end up into a lot of hoops. And then they're going to have deadlines and then they're going to put on you an admission hold. And then they may or may not decide to let you into the fall or spring semesters. Like they'll let you in for 1 semester, but then after that, if you don't get it figured out, then they withhold your admittance. And that almost happened to me. I got lucky. They gave me an exception. They said, if your university that's international specifically said they will not do a physical transcript, then they will let that slide. But for now, it's like set in stone. You need a physical transcript, and that's extremely important. And then another, what was the question again?
About the application process, or were there any stumbling blocks or challenges?
And I hope, is there any like out of state births, like non-US citizen? Yeah, some. Well, that's really important too, especially for your financial aid. Make sure that's in order, your birth certificates and all of that, because they will want that and they will delay your application process for stuff like that.
Before someone else goes, I just want to add some context to the in-progress courses. Depending on what school and what semester you are applying to, schools may or may not consider in-progress coursework. And so if you have any specific questions about that, please speak with your transfer specialist or an academic advisor, and we can clarify that point for you. Sounds like a great plan.
I would say a challenge for me during this process was figuring out how long my yeah, a challenge I went through this process for me was figuring out how long my resume was supposed to be, because there was a lot of people back then that would just tell me so many like different things saying like, oh, it should be 1 page, oh, it should be 2 pages, 1 page, but it actually can be as long as you want. I remember I finished my resume. It ended up being like 7 to 8 pages long. I added everything I did within the 4 years, I believe, or 5 years, including like my high school, like junior year, senior year of high school, until like ACC, when I was on my time being here. I'd also say another challenge for me was just timing. I do recall starting off my essay pretty early, but at the very like few weeks before the deadline, I was like already rewriting my entire essay, rewriting, just because I was like overthinking this wasn't good enough, this and that. But yeah, I just say have a timeline, prioritize what should be done, and also ask letter of recommendations early, not last minute, because you don't want crappy letters of recs. But yeah.
I just like to say, kind of when you're going through the application process, just make sure you kind of know everything you need to have put in before it goes in. I know for me, like a different school that I applied to, I kind of thought I was done with everything. I was turning in kind of late. And then I clicked on one thing and there was like a school specific essay that on the Common App that I didn't realize was there until the very last minute. And so I had to just very suddenly go write one more essay, which I was not happy about. So yeah, I just say make sure you know kind of everything that's on that application and before you start working on it, so you just kind of don't get caught up in that. And just sort of for the essays, like just I'd say that was one of the challenging things for me is because it felt like it was writing a lot of essays. I applied to like 4 or 5 schools. I think UT was the only one that only required one essay, and yeah, there was just like a lot of writing and. So I would just say, like, definitely go to the writing centers and stuff here and ask for help because they definitely want to help you, and those essays will go a long way.
Okay, yeah. For me, I would say definitely the application process was very stressful. You're basically doing another application process to another university. And I would say that during my time personally, I had a lot of anxiety, just getting the requirements ready, but also writing. And I think that really definitely brought me down in a lot of personal things, especially family. One thing that I do want to kind of point out is the fact of timing. You've seen it here mentioned a lot, but timing is very important. So the beginning that you think you want to transfer to a specific university, start as early as possible. Just because if anything goes wrong,
We would need a microphone. Can you, all right, repeat it?
When you start the application, does it take like a certain amount of time? Like you open it, you have to finish it within an hour, or do you have that?
The question is, when you start your application, do you have to finish it within a certain time? You do not. You can start your application, you can save it, you can close it, you can come back to it. There is a deadline for each individual university you're applying to by which you need to submit that application.
yeah. So, I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, the deadline, and I forgot to mention that, but I even forgot. But it is very important. So if anything goes bad or you're missing something, and if you have enough time, you can get that right away. I would say that I don't think I've heard this and here in the panelists, but I think after you complete the application and after you send it, I think that's a time that you actually get a lot of anxiety too, because you're waiting for a decision and you don't know whether you're going to get in or not. Personally, that was very stressful for me, but now I've learned that you cannot really do anything. So while you have the time to work on the application, do your best, right? But afterwards, enjoy your time, spend time with your family, friends, anything, and just wait for the decision. But don't put yourself through anxiety because you can't really go back in time or in front of the time, right? So definitely that, yeah.
Okay, so I was literally going to say that, and I was going to touch base on yours, is that, guys, don't stress yourself too much on this application. No, wait, let me rephrase that. Do stress the application, but don't put so much pressure on yourself to where your mental health is being affected by it. If you put out your time, make yourself a timeline, get stuff done step by step, I think you'll be okay. But again, your mental health is so important. So don't give yourself so much anxiety to where you're just overridden by all of it. And yeah, you can actually open up the application, start it, and do it little by little by little. Just make sure that the essays are getting written and your resume is getting done. And while at the same time, because you're still in classes right now as well. And again, that I will second that the hardest step for me was the wait. Once you push submit and pay for it and submit it, that's going to be the most hardest time for you guys. I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't got checking my emails constantly, even like, yes, opening my sites, even like weeks before they give you a date of like a tentative date of like, hey, we'll be releasing notifications by this time. And thankfully I got mine 2 weeks before that date, but that is so stressful, and you're going to feel that for the whole semester because I think the application is due and then you still have like 3 months of school. So don't stress yourself. Like he said, go out, do your schoolwork, relax. Don't allow it to affect your mental health, and make sure that you are talking to your advisors, talking to your professors and your friends and stuff, and make sure that you keep your mental health in check. That's most important.
Bring another, what is it called? The transcript after you've completed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what Anna brought up is that when you apply, you'll submit a transcript, but it'll probably be in the middle of the semester. And so you'll want to send another transcript to the university at the end of the semester. Your transfer specialist you work with or whoever is helping you with the process will remind you of that. We'll make sure you do that. And the university will tell you, make sure you send that transcript. Marie, did you want to add anything to the question about the challenges with the transfer application process?
Sure. Actually, you're talking about the challenge, very hardest thing I had. It was the fun part was when I went to visit back to go. I went back to the school in November, which was kind of like a fun time at the school in the showcase day. And I asked, when can I start can I start the process of my transcript? And they say you can start it now. The semester wasn't done yet, so I started early. But they sent me back an email say you don't have everything complete yet because I started my high school in France. So that was something kind of scary for me. Like, well, we need something from France to send us your high school, the beginning of your high school grade stuff. So that was the scariest, hardest part for me. And I had to call people there to figure out how can I get everything from there, send here. And they said the delay is by February. And in France, they say we have to set up a schedule. We're not open until January. And it was kind of scary until I had to find a way to just leave before Christmas and go to Europe and to figure out if we can get something. That was kind of scary, but later after that, the admission office people called again, say, we got the majority of stuff, but we can still wait for the rest whenever you can send it to us. I'm like, well, why sending me to Europe? And I send them everything, and later in someday, like y'all say, for sending the transcript, and that's the most scary time. Later after that, yes, it is very scary for me because 2 months later, I received an email saying that I got a student ID. I'm like, why that? If I haven't got accepted yet. And I was like, I got a student ID and everything, but I haven't sent anything that I got accepted yet. They're like, yes, you do. You are. It's gonna be released tomorrow. I'm like, oh, don't give me a student ID the day before I got accepted. That was kind of scary for me. And I was like, that's helpful to tell me everything before. But it was very big challenge, scary, very scary. But at least I got everything from friends and sent it later, but they still had a time for me to wait. It was very scary.
So it can be anxiety inducing, the transfer application process. This is going to be a question for Marie and Charlotte, since you all have not yet started classes at your institution. Have you met with your academic advisor already? Have you attended new student orientation? And if so, what was that process like?
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. Yes, I have met. It was actually fun because I started to meet with my my advisor. They send me. They say sign up to your account. Go find your advisor. I try to contact the advisor. It's like student art, government advisory. So I tried to contact them. But like, this is not your advisor. Okay, I got my advisor phone number. I got a meeting, and they was doing school time. So I was like, can we do a meeting next time? So she's like, okay, this is your classes and the end. And the orientation, we did it like we did in May. It was in May 17th. So I went on campus again to sign up for classes, do orientation, see the classes and everything. It was a fun time. At least that was not anything stressful. The only stressful part was the financial aid part because they keep saying, we haven't received your FAFSA yet. We haven't received none of your FAFSA. I'm like, well, that's helpful. And just went with it. And it was super fun. Very good experience to sign up for classes at a place I don't know anybody, but it was super nice time. I enjoy it.
I'm gonna throw in there, FAFSA was a little off this past year, so I think it was challenging for everyone.
My registration and new student orientation were some of like the best feeling times I've had in a while, which I was desperately due for after all the anxiety of applications and waiting to hear from universities for decisions. So when I went to my orientation, I also did my advising session there. And with the School of Architecture, it's a small group of people, right? Like there's not huge classes. It's a little niche group of the, campus entirely. So I got to meet with the architecture advisor and I thought we were like long lost friends or something. It was really awesome to sit and talk with her. And I had a lot of anxiety about my transfer credits because I didn't think that for, whatever cynical, masochistic reasons that they wouldn't accept my stuff. Well, my core classes all accepted. Architecture was where I was really worried because the architecture degree is not something you can flub. So when she saw my transcript and saw my grade, she was like, "Oh, you're good to go. You're getting that first year knocked off." And I was just so elated. It was just the best day ever. I was like hooping and hollering. And so it was really good. But she was really approachable. And I think that that's something that was really awesome and something to think about too. When you're in these classes here at ACC, you're kind of grouped into a general advising, but there in the bigger schools, you're going to have a really specific advisor and they are there to help you and they will help you carve your individual path. And I'm super excited to start classes. So.
Thank you. For the students who have already started classes or graduated from the university, this wasn't on the list of questions I emailed, but what's something really cool that you have experienced at the university or participated in? Darlene, I know you've done a lot.
I participated a lot these past 2 years. I've been a part of so many organizations such as Texas Alpha, HBSA, it's a Hispanic Business Student Association, the Undergraduate Business Council, Texas Angels, Texas Forever, so many. I mean, within those organizations, I've also been traveling with them. And by that, it's a whole application you actually have to do where you apply and then you get selected like amongst like 30 people to travel. And like the beginning of this year, for example, I went to Boston. It was like a company field trip. It was super fun. Also last year, the beginning of the year, I went with the Undergraduate Business Council, where we went to New York, another company field trip. This past semester, the spring semester, I went to Japan, Tokyo, part of the global social impact at UT, which sadly they closed already due to some things going on at UT. But I mean, I've been participating a lot. It's been pretty fun meeting so many people. Still hanging out with them till today. I suggest whenever y'all transfer, just to put yourself out there so y'all can stay connected.
I know for me, one of the cool things at UT, they have these things called transfer interest groups, TRIGs, and it put me in a class with like this like kind of extra class. There was probably like 20 or so kids in it, and we all had 3 classes together, I believe, and we would meet together like once a week. All of us were transfer students, and it was just kind of this nice way to like get to know other people that were in classes with you. So you don't always kind of feel like you're alone at a big school at UT. And yeah, I mean, I like the people I was in that group with now, like over a year later, are still the people when I see them on campus. We're always like, "Hey, how you doing? What classes you been in? Like, what's been going on?" They're definitely a lot of the people that are my friends at UT at this point. And then also one of the things I participated in was this club called New Wave Longhorns, which is they do a lot of it's for non-traditional students, and so they do a lot of work to try to help student parents and other non-traditional students just kind of find their way through campus, kind of help them with resources they need. I know one thing I got because I have kids was I got to register for my classes earlier than everybody else, which was a really big plus because it can get tough sometimes when you're doing it late. Like a lot of your classes will be kind of taken. And yeah, both those programs were things that I really appreciated a lot at my time at UT.
I was going to second that New Wave Longhorn thing. It's really cool when you are a parent. Perks of being a parent. Yeah, you do get to register before because a lot of the core classes is what fills up a whole lot. In the trig class, as a transfer student, you will be put in a trig course, either a trig course or a UGS course, which is your first year class that you take, and you are in a class with about 20 people in your same major, so you will have classes with those people. And again, I reiterate that the people who I took my first year class with, I'm still really close to, and we all take classes together. Join the organizations. I've already joined the Texas X's, of course, and then the Latinx groups. I've joined those, so those are really fun. And then again, School of Social Work. I forgot to mention earlier, the School of Social Work is one of the top 10 schools in the country. I think it's ranked number 7. So we have a lot of tailgates that we have different, like we're having a Gone to Texas thing here coming up I know that the Gone to Texas is for the transfer students, but we just got moved into a new building. So we're going to have our own Gone to Steve Hicks building. And we just have different times that we can get together for fellowship and build those relationships. So once you do transfer to a university, take advantage of all those opportunities.
Yeah, for me, I say definitely so many events. And I'm speaking from UT Austin, right? But it's such a big university that there's always something going on. I love food, and there's always free food in most of the events. So that's definitely something that really I think I've enjoyed a lot. Another thing is really that with that in mind, there's so many different groups of people. And it may take a while to find your group of people. I won't lie about that. But once you find it, you really have a great experience with them. And through that also you can connect with many other different people who can actually, take you to many places that might be very incredible that you might not expect. Again, from UT because it's such a big university, but so far that's one of the things that I've enjoyed.
One of the cool things I like about UT is there's this thing called the Climate Center, and it's free and accessible to anyone, but specifically to IRG majors or even business majors, international business majors, people who just kind of want to know about international politics or domestic politics. The Climate Center is a place where they have a lot of money. There's a lot of oil money going into it, and they have very bougie events. And they invite people from the Department of Homeland Security, former ambassadors, and just a lot of big figures that you probably, if you read the news, you might have heard of. But a lot of them are retired now. But they're there to give insight and they talk about what's going on in the world. And I think that's a really good way to connect and meet new people. And on top of that, with the Climate Center and the Stafford Center, if you apply to become a fellow there, you can go overseas and stuff like that, and just a lot of good opportunities. I haven't applied yet. I want to, and I'm going to do it this semester. Last semester I was too booked, so make sure you do that if you get in.
Oh, everyone looked at me. So for the sake of time, because I want to make sure that the audience has an opportunity to ask you all questions, very briefly, starting down here, we'll go down this way. What's one piece of advice you have for the audience here? We already know, start early, get the letters, don't wait till the last minute, but any other piece of advice that you think would be really helpful for the audience?
Yeah, I just say speak up for yourself. Go ask people questions. Reach out to the people that are here and want to help you. There's lots of people here that want to help you, but they're not going to know that you need help unless you go ask them. And I just think that's the best way to get far is just kind of leaning on people like Renee, the other people in the transfer department, and like they want to help you and they do amazing things to help you.
For me, I'd say choose the right people to if you want to look over your application, just choose the right people. Also, I suggest having a backup list. I didn't mention this earlier, but it was another challenge for me. I only applied for 2 schools, which was A&M and UT. That was a big challenge. I wouldn't advise that. So have backup lists just in case. And also just be prepared yourself if you do plan or if you do want to transfer into UT. UT is pretty competitive once you get there. Majority of the organizations, well, for my school, I'm a Combs, you have to apply and you have to get selected. So just be prepared for that and just put yourself out there more.
I think my biggest advice for you guys is one, again, following up on that is advocate for yourself and advocate for yourself. Talk to your professors, build those relationships, because really, like, I think everyone up here can say that we've built a pretty good relationship with Transfer Services, and they invite us back all the time and they feed us every time. So that's really good. Build those relationships with those advisors. I know the PTK advisors, Professor Mary Coles, all of them are so good. They're just, everybody's willing to help you. So go out and advocate for yourself. But my biggest advice would be to file your FAFSA early and apply for every scholarship that you can. Go out and look for that money, because they're literally just sitting there with money in their hands, wanting you to take it. Apply for every single scholarship. Also on for UT, they do the transfer scholarship. Make sure you fill that out. I didn't know that I was eligible for that. So if any of you guys are applying to UT, apply for that transfer scholarship, because you will get money. Surprisingly enough, I applied for it this year and they back paid me. So it was really cool getting that check after the semester was over. But yeah, apply to every scholarship that you can, and then save that money, because that money will come in handy. So that would be my big advice. Go get that money.
I say +1 to everything that we've heard, but I've been trying to form my answer as I've heard it. I think have a moment of self-reflection and decide what you really want, because you don't want to apply to the school that's not going to work for you. You don't want to apply to the school that's going to leave you broke at the end. It may not be the best program, but it may fit for you personally. There's a lot to balance. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different situation. I would really take a moment of self-reflection and decide what you want and what you're hoping to get out of your experience at university.
Well, I'll just say like Charlotte said, and just have your own moment of thinking before you apply to any university, not just UT or any other university, because you want to feel comfortable, like I did say earlier. You want to be somewhere you feel welcome, somewhere you feel comfortable around people, somewhere everybody are welcoming you. And also, like they did say earlier, advocate for yourself. And just speak out loud, speak, because that'll be some way for you also to get people around you to be able to know you, to learn about you, to be around you, like to welcome you. And that's something will be very, very helpful for you.
I think for me would be really just to do it. Do it and do it really yourself. But also, like they mentioned previously, be prepared if anything, if you fail, right? But do your best. And the only way that you can actually do that is by you start doing your homework and you start doing actually picking up a pencil and writing your letter, for example, right? Connecting with people, coming to these places and also connecting with other resources. And I say this because whenever the decision comes back, and if you do not get in, at least you know that you did your best. And that's behind your mind, because you have to be prepared for it. And then life will keep moving and then you can try again or another school. But doing it really is very important and putting the best that you can to it. So, yeah.
That. And again, if you don't get in, it's okay. I'm curious, so how many of you guys are applying to UT? That's a lot. I hope you guys the absolute best, but I got rejected once and my brother said something very kind to me the first time I got rejected because I was in shambles. I drank myself silly. He said, your grades don't define you and everyone has their own path. And I decided to reapply to UT anyway, because I wasn't gonna go to Lubbock, Texas. I wasn't gonna relocate to College Station, and I wasn't gonna live with my parents. So UT for me was not just an academic and professional decision, but it was also a very much like a personal what I need situation. So don't feel bad if you don't get in. It's fine. Use that year to, you know, work a job, get some experience, meet some people. And stuff like that. It's wonderful. I met my beloved girlfriend whenever I didn't get in. She's right behind there. And I think these things work out themselves. And 1 year of academic thing, it's nothing. So just pat yourself on the back for making it here. Good luck.
Yeah, that deserved applause. Yeah. Lori has one more thing to add, and then we will open it up to audience questions.
Don't think that you have to take all of your or be core complete to transfer over, because even this semester during the summer, I'm taking a class here at ACC that's going to be transferred back to UT. So don't be afraid to still do your application process, and then you can come back and still take classes at ACC. So that's all I wanted to add.
So I am going to give the microphone to Cindy. And if you all have a question and you want to ask the panelists, please raise your hand and our team will run over and take the microphone to you. Oh, Marisa has a question in the back. Oh, the online audience can also drop some questions in the chat box. We are monitoring it and we will try to ask those of the panelists as well.
Don't everybody speak at once.
Texas Tech, by the way, is a gorgeous campus. For the letters of recommendation, how early do you start them? Do you start them as soon as you finish your class with that professor? Or do you just wait until you're about to apply?
You got one to do too. I would say that's kind of something that's always kind of in the back of your mind, right? Like as you're going through your classes, whether it has to do with your major or any core class, if you develop a relationship with the professor, put that in your pocket and maybe even have that communication. It doesn't have to be any time. Those letters are going to have to be involved with your application at the end of the day. But if you have a professor now that you enjoy, that you have a good rapport with, drop that line and just plant that seed to be like, hey, could I come back to you for a letter of recommendation down the line? And most often they'll say yes, because it's helpful and they want to honor you with it. But I would say that there is no like defined time. It's kind of just like the relationship.
Thank you. I also have one more. For the essays, are you able to use one for multiple applications or do you have to make separate ones?
You can adjust them, but be sure that you change the school name on the essay. Because when someone from A&M reads an essay that says, I can't wait to be on the 40 acres and I love UT,
And some schools have different things that they ask for in the essays. So Common App has like one general essay that's what I think you said it earlier, that it's like, yeah, the personal statement. But then other schools may not even ask for that essay. They might ask for something else. And depending on your major, there may be others. I had to write 2 essays for UT because of my architecture major, and that was only specific to the architecture school. So you really need to do your research to see what exactly is needed to which particular application. They may correlate, they may not.
Mine's not really a question, but I want to give a little advice from somebody that's been around. Um, I don't think what I haven't heard is that you don't have to have all the answers right now. I'm telling you right now, at my age, I don't have all the answers, and I kind of changed my degree plan even just recently, just 6 months ago. But I've been in sports management for 35 years, and in high school, I wanted to be an architect. So I figured out, you know what? I can draw, I do it. I love doing it. I still do it to this day. But I don't like deadlines, man, or deadlines don't like me. Okay. So I ended up being a coach. I ended up going into the Air Force, playing athletics for the Air Force. And that's what I did for the rest of my life. I mean, for my adult career, going into sports management and then going to operations, sports operations and stuff like that. But I'm telling you right now, I don't know that many people that are 22, 23, 24, 25 years old that knows exactly what they want to do in life. If you're kind of going the right way, I mean, there's still resources here. There's the Make It Center. There's a lot of resources here to kind of figure out what you might like. I mean, not too many people know exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives. I wanted to be a coach for the rest of my life, right? And I was for the most of my adult career until life changes happened, and I just wanted to do something else. And it's something that those coaching and all that stuff and all that sports management helped me do what I do today, and outreach and stuff like that. So that's, I think, sometimes it sounds scary. Sometimes some of this stuff sounds scary at 50 something years old, much less 23 years old. So I got kids in school, and I'm going to graduate before them, and both of them, and I'm just telling them to get on their butts. If daddy can do it, they can do it, and but I just want to let y'all know that that's just my little 2 cents right there.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? There's something that, yeah, I just want to say too, that's great advice. And I'm in that same boat, right? I'm 38. I graduated high school in 2004, and I'm just got my associates in 20 years later. But also, if you are younger, carry that momentum, like while you have it, or if there's something that you like, dig in, because now's the time while it's fresh. Learning physics 16 years after learning it the first time was the hardest thing I've done ever, I think.
I will say though that the professors, I am I am a non-traditional student. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I graduated in 96. Do the math. And I have lived a really crazy life, but work hard now so that you can play later. Doesn't mean that you can't change your mind, but again, that's what ACC is here for. And I will tell you that a lot of the professors, they actually appreciate sometimes the older students, just because I always say that I'm living in if I only knew then what I knew now, well, I'm living that now, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So just go at your own pace, do what you want to do. And yeah, don't worry about if you fall, because you can always pick yourself up.
Yeah. Just keep going. You got it.
Hi, just actually piggybacking off of what he said, just some advice, because I didn't actually quite hear it broached here, but it could be something for everybody to look at. If you have a parent who served in the military and they enlisted in the state of Texas, you may want to talk to the Veterans Resources at ACC, because the Texas Hazelwood Act will apply to state colleges here if anybody has a parent that was into that.
You'll have a
Yeah.
financially.
There you go. Right. And so, I found it a blessing that, I was able to pass that. I didn't use it for myself, but I'm using it for my daughter. And it wasn't touched. I wasn't sure, but if anybody has a parent who was in the military, they enlisted in Texas, that might be something for you to look at to help offset some of that financial worry.
So I think if there's one thing I have learned from these questions is your peers in this room have a lot of information that can be very helpful for you. I just learned 3 wonderful pieces of information from students. So connect with them. These are also your peers. These are also ACC students who have successfully transferred. And I want to take a moment for us to, we can clap again for this wonderful panel.